welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I am sharing my March TBR with you. There's a lot of really great events that happen in March every year. March Mystery Madness, Middle Grade March, March of the Mammoths, and I'm sure that there's even more than that, and I won't be participating in all of them, but I am participating in a few of them. So to kick off March of the Mammoths, I'm going to be reading Daniel Deronda by George Eliot with my friend Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot. This is also my classic for the month. I choose a classic every single month for the whole year, so it works for both. I am going to be challenged to read this entire thing in just a month because it's around 700 pages long. So definitely a mammoth. This is definitely going to stretch me, but I'm really looking forward to reading it. I've only read a couple of George Eliot's, surprisingly, as much as I love Victorian literature. I've read Silas Marner multiple times, and then last year I read Middlemarch, and I have not read anything else by George Eliot, so I'm so excited to read this. I really don't know anything about it, and I was warned by one of you not to read the back because it had a pretty significant spoiler on their edition. I don't know if mine's the same. But, you know, I don't need to know. I just need to know that this is a really large classic with writing that I'm sure will be absolutely beautiful and that I'll enjoy. Another book that I'm anticipating potentially being a challenge in the month of March is Baudolino by Umberto Eco. I am reading this with my friend Dia from Novel Idea, and you may have saw last fall I read The Name of the Rose, and I had kind of mixed feelings on it. I'll link the vlog that I did for it here in case you're interested in my full thoughts. But there were things I loved about it and things I hated about it. And so this is kind of a last chance probably for Umberto Eco, because I'm not sure if he's an author for me, considering that I read his most loved work and had kind of mixed feelings on it. I own 4 Umberto Eco books because I just kept picking them up and buying them without actually knowing anything about them or having tried them. So that's on me. But we decided to go for this one because this is actually one of his shorter works, and it's 500 pages long, so it's still not that short. All I really know about it is that it takes place in the 1200s. I think it's kind of a crusade type setting, which, I mean, I guess maybe you get some of that from the cover. I don't know. So I don't really know much about it. I really like the historical settings that he chooses and how well he shapes those. That was something I really enjoyed about The Name of the Rose. So I'm hoping that I'll like this one, but honestly, this one I'm kind of holding with an open hand, ready to DNF if I get to the point like I did with Name of the Rose, where I was just ready for it to be over. For my Patreon this month, I'm going to be reading Return of the King by Tolkien. So this is the final book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We have kicked off this year rereading this, and it has been so amazing. It's actually a first time read for a few of my patrons, but for a lot of it, it's a reread, and we are just absolutely loving this, and it's been so fun to get together every month and just talk about things we noticed that we didn't see before, things that we love about it, and favorite characters, favorite scenes, favorite quotes. It's just been so delightful, and I'm really looking forward to concluding this trilogy with everyone. For my Read a Rid project, I've been following Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf challenge, and that's been really fun. I actually didn't get to January's book, so but I will get to it when it's a less busy month, I think. And so for March, the prompt is that it needs to have like more than 3 perspectives or something like that. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is, but it's multiple perspectives. So the book that I'm picking up that I hope has more than 2 perspectives, but I'm not totally sure, is Salmon Fishing in the Yemen. And I'm pretty sure that this is kind of epistolary in nature, which would imply that it has letters from multiple people. So I'm hoping that it ends up fitting the prompt. I actually don't have high hopes for this book because you've probably heard me talk about how a lot of epistolary novels really don't work for me. If there are letters sprinkled throughout, I'm usually good. But if it is solely in letters, I have a hard time connecting to the characters a lot of times. And that is not a very popular opinion on BookTube, I don't think. I think epistolary novels are usually really well received. So there are exceptions. I have read epistolary novels I've enjoyed, so maybe this will be one of them, but it is one that I don't have super high hopes for. But that's why it's on my Read a Rid project. The only other book on here that is not a middle grade is Romantic Outlaws by Charlotte Gordon. This is actually a carryover from February. I knew I was not going to finish this in the month of February because it's a pretty chunky nonfiction. And this is about Mary Shelley and her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft. And it's been so fascinating to read this. It's actually been one of my main audiobooks, and the audiobook is excellent, but I've also read some of it physically, and after I finish the chapters, I like to flip through because there are different pictures and different things like that in there too. So it's been a wonderful experience. It's been so interesting. If you've been watching my February vlogs, you've been kind of hearing my thoughts week to week on it, and I've just really been enjoying it. So I'm going to continue this into March. I'm thinking I'll probably finish in March since I'm a little bit over the halfway point, but we'll see. Okay, so middle grade March. What an exciting time. This is my second favorite event in all of BookTube for the whole year. Booktober being my very first, but middle grade March is a really close second. I just absolutely love reading all the middle grade books during March. The hosts of Middle Grade March have come up with some prompts for us, and they are really wonderful, really fun, really interesting to kind of like get the juices flowing and help you select some books. But I was trying to come up with books for these prompts and just kind of like not sure what I wanted to do. And I'll be totally honest with you, my middle grade March last year kind of stunk. I had one book that I liked, one book that I loved, and then a whole bunch of books that were not good or just like kind of okay. And I don't want that this year. I want a slam dunk middle grade March this year. So I am mood reading all of the middle grade books, pretty much almost entirely all the middle grade books that I'm going to be reading in March. I'm going to mood read them, and I am going to DNF with absolute abandon, which is not something I really hardly ever do. I do DNF sometimes, but usually it's because I'm really struggling with the book, or I really don't like the content, or I really just hate everything about it. And this time I'm just going to be like, okay, if it's not hooking me, I'm moving on to the next one, because I really want to find some new favorites this March instead of just feeling like so burnt out on middle grade by the end of the month like I was last year, that I just forced myself through all these books. I don't want to do that this month. There are a few books that I am buddy reading, and so those ones I am for sure going to read and not DNF, so I'm going to share those with you. So the first one is actually for Victoria from a Musical Bookworms Patreon, and that is Shark Teeth. I can't remember who the author is. I have this digitally, so I don't have a physical copy with me, but this is about a girl going through foster care, and so I'm really excited to read this one and discuss it. I think it's going to be a heavier middle grade. For my in-person book club, we are going to be reading The Witch of Blackbird Pond by Elizabeth George Spear. I have read this before, and I did enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to rereading this one. This is a historical fiction that I'm pretty sure takes place during like kind of the Salem witch era in the United States, and a girl kind of moving from another area and coming to the colonies, and so the way that she was raised kind of puts a little bit of a target on her back because she's different than a lot of the other people who are living there. So I remember really enjoying this one, but it's been quite a few years since I've read it. Then I have some books from my Read or Rid project that are middle grade that I want to just kind of flip through, see what I think. I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them, and that's okay, but one of them I am buddy reading, and that is Out of the Dust by Karen Hessa? Not sure how you pronounce that. Anyways, I'm reading this with my friend Joanna. This is a free verse novel, and I believe it takes place during the Dust Bowl, so it's historical fiction. So I've heard mixed things about this book. Some people love it and some people think it's not very good. So I don't really know where I'm gonna land on this, but I think it's one that I can probably finish relatively quickly. So I'm not too worried about not DNFing this one. So those are my only definitive plans. And then I have just a lot of possibilities. I am doing a Patreon vlog. I do one every single month where people suggest a book for me to read, and then I choose that book and do a spoilery vlog for them. So my patrons came through with a whole bunch of middle grade suggestions, and I'm really excited about all of them. So I'll probably try more than one of them, but because I'm so excited about so many of them, I think I'm gonna like spin a wheel and let it choose one, but I haven't done that yet. So that will be a surprise to them and me which one I end up choosing. But I do have a couple of books that I want to mention that I really want to give a chance to. Again, I'm freely DNFing, so I may not love these, but they're ones that I'm really excited about, and I don't want to care about whether or not they fit middle grade March prompts. I just want to read them. One of those is Momo by Michael Ende, and this is the same author who wrote The Never-Ending Story. And I don't know really all the plots about this. This was actually a book that Jennifer Brooks loved, so I'm continuing We Love Jenny with both continuing Romantic Outlaws and reading Momo. But I do know that this book deals really heavily with exploring time and like what is time and losing time and like all those kinds of things. So I think it's going to be an interesting one. It's a shorter one, but I'm just like, I've had this on my shelf for years and wanted to pick it up every middle grade March, and it just hasn't really fit into the prompts. So I haven't done it. And actually this does fit for a one-word title. So that would work for a prompt, but I just want to finally read it. I also borrowed a book from my friend Whitney Drew. This is a book that she absolutely loved, that she read last year, and is one of her daughter's favorite middle grades, and that's My Diary from the Edge of the World by Jody Lynn Anderson. So this is obviously in diary format. It's about this young girl, and I think they're trying to like save her younger brother. Like something's happening with him and they have to get to this place where they think that he'll be safe. But it's one of those things where it really mixes a lot of magical realism. Like there are like gas stations and 7-Elevens and stuff like that, but there are also dragons. So it's kind of intermixed with like magical elements and real world elements that I think are kind of unique. So I'm really excited to give this one a try. Another one that I have really wanted to read is A Wish in the Dark by Christina Soontornvat. And I read her Newbery Honor book that was nominated last year, which is The Last Mapmaker. And I loved that book. That was the only book I read for middle grade March that I actually loved. So ever since then, I've wanted to read more of her books. And I was talking to my friend Victoria, and we were just talking about like, we need to start reading books by authors that we've read something by them and loved, because that's a surefire way to probably find some more books that you love and keep yourself from getting in a reading slump. So I loved Christina Soontornvat's writing and I loved her world building. So I really want to try A Wish in the Dark. It's my understanding that this is kind of a middle grade, potentially fantastical, but I'm not sure, retelling of Les Miserables. And I love Les Mis, so I think that this is going to be a slam dunk for me. And then the last middle grade that I definitely want to try is The Labors of Hercules Beale. And I don't know a whole lot about what this book is about, but I love The Wednesday Wars. I'm currently rereading it with my daughter. It's her first time, my second time. And the year that I read The Wednesday Wars, it was my #1 middle grade of that year. And I loved it so much, and I really, really want to give this a try. I've heard several people say they absolutely love it. I think it's about a young boy whose parents get divorced, or he loses his parents in some way. It's one of the two, and he's just trying to adjust. And I'm pretty sure that there are some Greek mythology tie-ins, because you've got the Labors of Hercules and then the Labors of Hercules Beale. So I'm really excited about this. This is one that I think is probably more serious, but usually he can intermix humor really well and make it not feel quite as heavy. At least that was the case in The Wednesday Wars. So I'm really looking forward to giving this one a try. There are actually a lot of other middle grade books that I have ordered in from my library that I'm waiting for them to come in, that I have on my Kindle, that have been suggested to me. Like, I have a huge list of so many middle grade books. So these are just a few of the ones that I'm really excited to give a try to, ones that I'm like, I'm for sure going to try this one. But again, it's going to be the month of the free DNF, and I never do that. So I'm really, really excited to just read through and read what I want to read, because I pretty much never give myself permission to do that. I used to be exclusively a mood reader until I joined BookTube, and then I started doing TBRs and my reading got more and more structured. And sometimes that's a really good thing, and I usually end up enjoying a lot of the things that I end up reading. So most of the time I don't feel like I'm struggling my way through. But I did last year for middle grade March, and I don't want to feel that way this time. I want to just have the best middle grade March ever. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Are you a mood reader? Are you a TBR reader? A mix of both? What are you planning on reading? Are you participating in any events, middle grade March, March Mystery Madness, March of the Mammoths, whatever else? I'd love to hear what events you're participating in and what books you are the most excited about reading in the month of March. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.